This is Delta Airlines. And it is 6:04 a.m. Seconds earlier, it's preceded by, this is United Airlines, 6:03 and 16 seconds, and seconds before that is Southwest Airlines, at what is 6:01 a.m. This is called psychopathic pacing. You're looking at the times that they're engaging at 6:01 and 43 seconds, 6:03 and 6 seconds, and this is as they're completing flying past my person. So this is moment by moment planes, over and back and forth and over and back and forth. This is psychopathic pacing by Southwest, by United, and then by Delta. And this is the entity that's doing so at the 6 a.m. hour. And this is the entity that is doing so pursuant to what has nothing to do with planes that are headed to a destination or that are taking off from the Ontario International Airport, meaning they are not flights that have taken off and are in the midst of that takeoff, flying from that airport toward that destination. This is an entity that's engaging in what is planes that originate from what are also assigned terminals at the Ontario International Airport, but they're engaging what is a deviation to fly northwest over 4 miles, approximately 4 miles northwest, which would be diagonally, and then they're engaging what is flying in a straight line west over the University of La Verne College of Law, Ontario City Hall, the Ontario Senior Centre, and the Ontario John Stewart Company Senior Citizen Apartment Complexes, moreover at 6 a.m. They are also flying into what is a legally relevant specific type of zone where there will also not be any takeoffs. What you're paying attention to is, first of all, the first plane at 6 a.m. is Southwest Airlines, and the reason why the entity followed with United Airlines, remember, this is real-time monitoring. And this is based on the observed pattern of conduct. This is also relevant to judicially noticed facts. Okay, the entity that is engaging in what is the flights from the airport are not headed, number one, to what is any sort of destination. For example, United Airlines is headed to Houston, Texas, from gate 201, San Francisco is what is at 6 o'clock when there are stalking at 6:03 a.m. And the entity at 6:03 a.m. taking off from the terminals at the airport at 6 a.m. does not result in what is this hovering status over the venue of the senior center, just breaking this down. And this is a matter of judicial notice. This is also relevant to what is diagnosing, okay, because the entity is keeping the evidence against itself under surveillance, and they are deciding to engage in that. And this is relevant to evidence that you also know. The entity engaged in what is stalking for 5 minutes in a helicopter at this same location under the fake moon, which is a part of the same pattern of conduct. And the entity is engaging in what is a highly unpersuasive, highly unintelligent, and very obvious pattern of targeting in a manner that has nothing to do with the operations, as I am also sharing with you, that is clearly not having anything to do with the published operations of the airport versus the gang stalking and surveillance that the airport is engaging in, targeting me with. Okay, that's what's relevant to the psychopathic pacing. Alaska Airlines, which has engaged in gang stalking here, also at 6 a.m., is not headed to Seattle or Honolulu by hovering over the same location. You saw Delta Airlines that has a takeoff from gate 208. They're not headed to Salt Lake City over the Senior Center. This is the entity that's engaging in that ongoing pattern. It is 6:08 a.m. And this is the entity that is by United Airlines engaging in what is that ongoing conduct. Psychopathic pacing, and this is where the fake sun rises and sets. And these are this is the pattern of conduct shared by all of the commercial airline companies that are being federally prosecuted for treason. They're being federally prosecuted for providing the instrumentalities of interstate commerce to the United States government that's engaging in domestic terrorism, which are these commercial airline companies who have employees that are engaged in terrorism in the United States through the formation of those companies, and they are engaging in criminal activity for which they will be federally prosecuted for. They are engaging in that conduct with the knowledge. That's why you have the pattern of conduct underway by the airports. You have John Wayne Airport engaging in targeting me. You have the Los Angeles the Los Angeles International Airport gang stalking me. You have the Ontario International Airport gang stalking me. You have the San Bernardino Airport gang stalking me. Cable Airport, which is engaged in the pattern of conduct of gang stalking. The entities engaging in the pattern of conduct, which is going to prosecute the commercial airline companies that are providing commercial airline companies to the U.S. military that don't have any passengers on these planes, that are not going to San Francisco over the senior center, flying miles away from the airport and still hovering, having not conducted any takeoff, doing so while they are engaging in what is those same planes engaging in cartwheels and U-turns. They're doing so under the fake sun and the fake moon, and they're doing so as a pattern of conduct by the airports, as I've documented, outside of even Ontario, California. And it is the prosecution of that entire company. This is the P.O.C. This is an entity that is rising in elevation. Pay attention, because this is what I'm documenting at the Stater Brothers Ontario Village Shopping Center, where they are repeating the same conduct west of this location. And that is Alaska Airlines. This is occurring at what is 6:10 a.m. And the entities engaging in that pattern of conduct, I just want to be clear, this is the entity that is providing what is the evidence of the pattern of conduct in the face of judicially noticed facts, while they are keeping the evidence against themselves under surveillance. And at 6:10 a.m., the entity maintains no flights on schedule, and it certainly is not taking 10 minutes from the terminals that will have no flights over here. In fact, it is relevant to what it's absolutely a judicially noticed fact. When the entity is engaging what is flights taking off from the airport, there are no planes that are going to be in the sky space northwest of that airport at 2500 Airport Drive, over the City Hall at 303 East B Street, at the Ontario Senior Center, or at the 280 North Lemon Apartments. The entity is engaging in what is deviating from the sky space that will have no plane activity and no amplified plane activity. The public nuisance does not exist when, in other words, the commercial airline companies are engaging and actually taking off over the airport and headed to an actual destination, as opposed to targeting in the sky space in the specific environment. And this is a shared pattern of conduct amongst the airports that are serving to prosecute every commercial airline company. This is the pattern of conduct. The entity is sharing this with Los Angeles International Airport, like I documented, in Los Angeles, where LAPD is sharing the pattern of conduct. The U.S. military is sharing the pattern of conduct. And LA has commercial planes flying over the hillside behind my apartment, flying over and around the perimeter, which has nothing to do with the takeoffs from LAX either. This is the P.O.C. And the entity's mentally ill behavior is serving for the diagnosis regarding the psychopathic and antisocial and suicidal tendencies. That's what this is relevant to. This is why the commercial airline companies are being federally prosecuted, and this is also why they are being prosecuted and put out of business. They will first be exhausted financially with regard to damages. While they are witnessing their prosecution, you are looking at the very highly self-detrimental conduct, and this is relevant to the threat, such as flying planes into buildings and into bodies of water and into the ground, based on what is being exposed for criminal conduct that you are being held liable for. And this is prosecution of both the government, the United States, and the people of the state, the commercial airline companies who form corporate entities to engage in the pattern of conduct. This is my shadow appearing on the ground at a distance away from me, and this is projected light under a fake sun that is here 12 hours later, which is the specific environment where the commercial airline companies, through the gang stalking pattern that is shown through the airports in Southern California, as I have been subject to the pattern of conduct in Costa Mesa, that's John Wayne. All right, in Los Angeles, that's Los Angeles International Airport. In Upland, California, that's Cable Airport. The entity engaging what is maintaining aerial surveillance when I'm in Montclair, where there's no airport. These airports are sharing in that pattern of conduct in this specific environment, moreover. And the commercial airline companies, if you did not understand the legal argument provided yesterday, you are all being federally prosecuted, as I'm documenting any commercial airline company gang stalking me with the U.S. military, the suicidal homosexuals who have driven your company, you've driven your company into the ground, and I'm going to exhaust you financially, and then I'm going to criminally prosecute you with the evidence of you gang stalking me, which is gang stalking American citizens and levying war against them. This is P.O.C. It's 6:13 a.m. and this is showing the clear distinction between any destination that an airport is publishing from the airport in Ontario and gang stalking me under the fake sun at 6 a.m. Flying over the Ontario Civic Center. And this is the entity that is providing the ongoing concession, the admission to mental illness. This is the same evidence, the probative value of stalking by helicopter. Stalker. And they're subject to martial law. This is the P.O.C. This is the entity that is indeed gang stalking with the people of the state. And this is a stalker, that's a demon, that's making a turn when she is monitoring. That's a demon that's monitoring on my device and makes a turn like the coward, the vagina. This is the people of the state that are indeed gang stalking, both seeking to avoid being documented by making a turn. They're still crossing path, they're still stalking in the path, they're still creating light activity, they're still engaged in relevant positioning, they're still under the fake moon at the same location where the fake sun is present. And the entity, just like Southwest Airlines, then United Airlines, then Delta Airlines, then United Airlines are engaging in psychopathic pacing in the specific environment. And I monitor the This is what the entity is doing, what I'm documenting. At 4th Street and Euclid Avenue, stalking by helicopter and all those license plates, they're being federally prosecuted while they are stalking as a mentally ill population. This is relevant to what is, again, the judicial notice. This is the specific environment. That's the fake moon. This is the targeting by the U.S. military that's doing the same thing while they're engaging in psychopathic pacing in commercial planes. Where the entities engaging in that in the specific environment in concert with the people of the state. This is that. So I just want you to see, this is the entity doing laps around me, psychopathic behavior, and a helicopter. Both are features regarding the ingredients, if you will, of diagnosing the mentally ill that are engaged in gang stalking. Entities engage in this while they are, again, very much suicidal, and this is the entity that is posing a threat to themselves and the public, all right? The entities engaging in this under what is the fake sun during the day. This is where the fake sun rose, and this is where the fake moon is, where the surveillance is underway by the entity. This is people. This is the entity that is subject to federal prison. Like I stated, Myra and Mickey are employees at the OVITT Family Community Library engaged in years of surveillance. The entity engaging in this horrific, barbaric act of terrorism in plain view, and then engaging in what is ongoing, obvious targeting through the commercial planes in the obvious specific environment where they are keeping that evidence against itself under surveillance and still deciding to do so the next day, like those that wear diapers and consume their feces, like those that are engaging in suicidal behavior such as crashing planes into Twin Towers in New York, such as killing celebrities such as Mr. Bryant in helicopters, while they are engaging in the pattern of conduct and flying planes into buildings such as UPS in Kentucky, such as flying planes into military helicopters on the East Coast, and the entity maintaining that pattern of conduct with both eyes open while they are being prosecuted. This is the entity that's going to be civilly and criminally prosecuted and permanently landed in order to protect the American people. Multiple planes, as I'm documenting, under the specific environment, circumstances of a fake sun, of engineer light. This is P.O.C. This is what the entity is doing with Delta Airlines, with Southwest Airlines, American Airlines, Amazon Prime Air, FedEx, UPS. The entity then engages in what is flying in circles, which I'm documenting for a prolonged, and then flying over the top of the head. This is the entity that's providing evidence. They're going straight to prison, they being the people of the state. So this is the entity that's providing evidence. It's going on the internet, and these are the mental. This is the entity that's doing this at 10:14 at night, and this is while the entity is monitoring evidence. Remember, it's relevant to monitoring me. So as I look at the plane schedule about Southwest Airlines, that comes from Terminal 4. Terminal 4 does not have any planes that are going to hover over or be anywhere in the sky space. There is no elevation, even though I've documented varying elevations, that's going to result from coming from the Ontario International Airport, where you are flying at a heightened elevation, where I can't hear you, or where you're hovering and you're amplifying plane activity. But it is also relevant because you're analyzing that. When you're coming from the same airport, but you're at two varying different elevations, the entity is gang stalking under all circumstances. There is no plane activity that's going to occur. Moreover, in this zoning area where even the senior citizens are present, and you are not flying in helicopters like I'm documenting at 10 o'clock at night, and doing so with commercial planes like I'm documenting at 6 o'clock in the morning. Moreover, in the environment where the fake sun rises and sets, and this is prosecuting the U.S. government with judicially noticed facts. This is the P.O.C. This is the prosecution of the people of the state. Stalking on the roads and the highways, stalking by residents is what I'm documenting, stalking by crossing path, walking their dogs under the fake sun and the fake moon. This is the P.O.C. at 6:19 a.m. It is Sunday, May 31st, 2026, and this is the prosecution of the people of the state. I will prosecute every employee. Understand, this is the ability to prosecute domestic terrorists who are throughout the country engaging in, through the formation of corporations, targeting American citizens nationally with the U.S. military. That also makes it national. They are going across the globe as well with these commercial airline planes as a means of targeting people in other nations where they are engaging in this inhumane and unlawful pattern of conduct against those that are highly unsophisticated with regard to what the U.S. military is doing, what the United States is doing to them with companies like Delta Airlines, United Airlines, Alaska Airlines that are gang stalking people across the globe. This is the prosecution that is serving to prosecute for treason, and I will also civilly prosecute you. While you target me, you are targeting and levying war against an American citizen, and you are being subject to a prosecution while I legally analyze your criminal activity while you sit at a chair as a shareholder, as a company employee, as a CEO, and I'm prosecuting you. Understand how you are engaged in criminal activity, and you are directly tied to the criminal conduct that I'm subject to in Ontario, California. This is P.O.C. It is currently 6:20 a.m.